realms of space. Now we're going to come in here, we're going to grab up that color and just right up into our old little clouds. Bang! Toss this little mountain section out here, right? As our little mountain came down, and this little guy, he had one more little peak off this side. And then we're going to make him this little valley just by crisscrossing. Little crisscross action right there. Little boom, little bang, little here, little there, little flat, little hump, little something is all you need, guys. You don't want it to be just a straight old pyramidal shape, right? We're not on Ancient Aliens right now anyway. That's watching that later, not watching it right now. Right now we're painting the most gorgeousest mountain you've ever did seen. And you can see how I've spread it out like a clock going down in the opposite ways, almost imagining the center of my clock being right here. Right? So it's it's going to help it look more realistic than if you were to just slide them all down in one dang direction, right? Now, grab up our 1-inch brush. Hey, what a catch. Look at this guy. Hold it like a pencil. That's how I hold it anyway. You don't have to. You can hold it like a caveman if you wanted to. Just find it a little harder to do. I can do it, though. We're going to do it. You got to take it out to the horizon. Stretch it out that way. Pull it off the other side. Right? Come down. That way, if you're pulling in two different directions, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, then you're going to have more of a 3D mountain, right? If you're just pulling it down in one way, bang, 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 you're just going to have this slope of weirdness that doesn't look right at all, right? So we kind of pull across, we take our one half, right? Now we come to this guy and look at him and go, okay, this half, slide down through there, this half can go over here. But if I take him and just go straight through, I'm going to lose this whole little valley right here, right? So what can we do? Let's pull it down instead, just over here, just a little bit, and then we can cut in front of this guy and then take this guy and start to slope him down, right? That way we didn't lose our little valley, and in fact we pushed it further behind just by doing that. Take this guy, come off the backside, and just based off of our pressure, we get to decide how far it comes down, how dark it is, how light it gets, right? Each time we come down here and contact that wet paint with that white, we come back up and it drops a little bit. You can always get rid of those guys very easily. Very easily, right? Come in here, and now you literally have this floating mountain just crisscrossing down here. Literally have a floating mountain sat on the back of our thing across the water and the wherever. Way out there in the night. Right now, we got to go back and highlight this guy. Can't just leave it all just dark color like that. And that's this. We're not painting silhouettes of mountains, right? We're painting this wicked 3D thing that's come right out at us. So let's grab a little bit of our white, and by a little bit I mean a lot, like a good amount, like a big old chunk, and then the teeniest little bit of our blue, and I'm talking about the smallest little bit. Okay, so then we can come down here, mix that guy up, and it's going to go bright blue, like the brightest sky summer day you ever did seen. Perfect for like swimming and all sorts, right? But we're going to make it a little bit darker because that was a bit too bright, right? You need it to be blue, so our white will stand out against the blue. We can't have them both be too bright white, okay? Now that we're done mixing, we're going to wipe all the color off of this knife. Just like that, right? Get it back to its original crappy... I tried to, like, black over it so it wouldn't glare like that in the lights, and eventually it all wore off, and I just haven't done it yet. Leave me alone, guys. I got a lot of stuff going on. Okay, we're going to come over here and grab up a little bit more of that white. Bang, about double the amount that we grabbed the first time, and then one teeny little squeeble, just a little squeeb, bang, of that blue right there. So when we mix it up over here, and try not to, wow, that's close. I'm going to stab my finger. Over here, it's going to be very bright white, but in our heads, we know that it's not pure white because we mixed it with the blue. You just saw me do it, right? Now, let's come up here and decide. Maybe... Which way do you prefer highlighting your trees is the easier way? I'm going to have all my light come from the left, which means all my shadows are going to be on the right. So I'm going to come in here, grab up a little touch of that dark color, mix it down into my brightest blue sky paint, okay? And that way it's going to dull it down into this kind of bluish grayish color, which will play even better as our shadows, okay? So we'll come in here, just right off the top, very light. See how we turn the knife like that? You can turn it. You don't just have to be a robot. You're not just up here going, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, beep. Does not compute, cannot make that motion. It doesn't work, right? You have to be very liquidy, very fluid with your wrist, with your knife, with your fingers, with your pressure. Just like this. Very light, very small little thing. Straight down, bam, just like that. Get that far off little ridge happening back there with just 3 pulls. Okay? Now, maybe just half of this little guy had some snow on him coming down like that, right? This guy we can go back up. A little bit more paint. Bang. 3 little pulls. We got our blue, soft, little shadowy bit. Now, grab up a bit more, come back off of this dude, and again, very light with the pressure. Drag it off. Just very straight up, too. It's not at an angle. We're not trying to remove the paint. We're trying to deposit it, right? We're scooping up a big line of it, and then at that right angle, pulling it off. Down like that, right? Now, we're going to go into our snowy bit. Again, you don't need a whole lot, especially when you come up to the tip top. Come up here, zip it down, whip it good. Just like this. Come down off our little ridge, right? And then we can start to decide what we want it to look like. Maybe you want to have your snowy bits come up into your shadowy bit just a bit more, right? Which is going to make more peaks as it comes down. Which looks really cool if you ask me, guys. But, well, I mean, who am I? I'm just only Paint with Josh. It's fine. I'm the total loser, right? I know. I agree. Over here like that. Look at that thing, though. We put the shadows back. Then you go back up into them and just don't cover all of them, right? And we'll be set, guys. Come up here, grab a little bit more. Whip it down. Whip it down. Whip it down. Very lightly. Be fast about it, too. You don't want to be slow. When you're making mountains, doing it slow, even old Paint with Josh doesn't like doing it slow. I mean, I like doing it slow, but I don't like doing the mountains slow. You know what I mean? It's harder to do because you can't control your pressure, right? When you're going slowly, you're like going like this, and then you can really mush it on accidentally, which doesn't look the same as all that broken bit if you're mushed on your thing because you had your weird, pressure. It's weird. It's weird, but that's why we talk about the three P's of Paint with Josh all the time, because it's all about the amount of paint, the amount of pressure, and practice, guys. Always got to have the practice in there. Come up here with our last little bit. Bang, bang, bang. Right? Work that little guy into a whole mountainous ridge. Now, I need to go back and mix up a bit more of our paint. So we're going to get that same white little squeeb of the blue, the teeniest, tiniest little bit of that blue. And that way, it's not pure white. It's like a very, very, very light blue. I don't even think there's a color for that. If there is, I don't know what it is. All right, come back in here and just let it grip where it wants to grip onto. Don't try to force it. You can extend it all the way down, but again, very flat, almost hitting the canvas with the handle. Look at the handle of my knife, right? There's bits of paint all over it, and most of the time, just like I was going to say, there's bits of paint on my fingertips right here because we're holding it so closely and whipping it down that will drag and leave fingerprints down in this paint down here, right? Which is fine. We can always go back and cover over everything underneath. You can cover everything above. You got to worry about. Okay, over here, we had one more thing, a projection up into this guy. Bang, off the side. It's like a little hill. There's something over there, right? Maybe it comes down. Just based on how we're pulling out our knife, we get to decide what our little mountain section looks like. This thing's looking so cool that I don't want to stop doing it. It looks amazing. Amazing, you guys. A couple more little bits down in here. Boom! Look at that. Oh, my goodness. Now, we really need to soften. I'm going to smite you. You want to be smoten or smote? We have to soften our paint to make our misty fog, right? Everybody loves the misty fog. That was almost, I almost had to catch the bristles full of paint. Okay, now we're going to come in here. We're going to very lightly start to drag upwards, right? Again, brush very close to the canvas, not on a perfect flat, kind of poked out towards you guys, right? Just a little bit, though. And then, what's happening over here on the vatch? On the vatch. All right. Over here, right? Again, let's use a nice clean brush.